Okay, I want to point out another shot here. Here is the 11th hole on Sunday with Rory, and he hit some of the greatest shots I've ever seen under pressure in a major championship, but he also hit some of the worst and also some very questionable decisions I don't quite understand, and I'm trying to unpack. And on this tee shot, he pushes this one kind of where those trees are on the right, and it may just seem like a push, but if you dive deeper, I think there is some more underlying kind of mental blunders here that may intrigue you. And I mean, as a professional golfer myself, I've been in some high pressure situations, nothing like trying to close a Grand Slam. I'm never going to know what that feels like, but I've been on the 72nd hole of a Korn Ferry event with the lead trying to win for the first time and be one of like 10 people to ever not make a bogey in a 72-hole event on the Korn Ferry, the PGA Tour. So, I mean, I know what it kind of feels like to have your heart racing 100 miles an hour and it feels like your heart is up in your throat. And it's so hard to think clearly in that situation, which leads to the importance of your pre-shot routine and meditation and being able to go to a place where you can think, but also like have the groundwork before you step on the course the final day and have a plan for where you're hitting all your tee shots so you don't let the emotion of the moment take over and you start making bad decisions. And what I want to point out here is look at where his feet are. Like if you think of Rory as a driver, it is his go-to has always been the high draw, like generationally probably the best driver of the ball in the last 10 years. The high draw has been his bread and butter. And here, the first thing I notice is he is aimed like left center of this fairway. And this caught my attention to the point where I went back on the Masters app. So this is the shot, the final round. He pushes this thing right, ends up making the bogey. I immediately go back and think, why is he hitting this cut? That makes absolutely no sense to me. So I went back on the Masters app to the previous days. This is Thursday. Look where his feet are here. He's aimed more up the right center. He's playing his natural draw. And that's the thing about tee shot dispersions as well. Like for him, his tee shot dispersion for most players is going to be about 60, 70 yards for those upper echelon players. And so, that gives, if you have a good target, you've got 30 yards on either side to miss that and still be okay. So, like, in theory, if he aims like 35 yards right of the trees on the left, he should be able to swing pretty freely, knowing that there's like a 95% chance he's going to be okay, even if he pulls this thing. Like, it would take an extremely rare situation for him to pull it into the trees and like out of play if he has a good target. And so you can kind of see he's trusting this draw here in round one. Well, there we go. So he hits the shot. He loves it. Zoom out. Perfect draw. Right center of the fairway. Round two, same thing. Looks like he's playing the draw. This is when he started to get back in contention. He birdied this one. This is round two. Perfect tee shot. Let's just go to round three. Check out the feet. Definitely right center. All his body lines and target. Right center. Masters app was slow loading this guy, but he even pulls this one quite a bit. But because he had a good target, he's still in the fairway. Makes an easy four. Hits in the front edge of the greens. But now let's go back. Here's Sunday. Very different. He is now aimed left center of the fairway, and he is trying to hit like a push cut. And again, I truly believe that he is standing in this tee and telling himself, I'm going to make sure I am not going to hit it left no matter what. And if he had just aimed 35, 40 yards right of the junk on the left, like he did literally in rounds 1, 2, and 3, he could have just hit the same shot. Like, why aren't you going back to what you did the first 3 rounds? So instead, he's aiming left. He's trying to hit the cut. And shocker, not surprised at all, he over pushes this thing into the right trees, which there's only a couple of them over there, but he's still blocked. And the point there is like, why are you deviating from the plan that worked in rounds 1, 2, and 3, I'm willing to bet he probably played the draw in his practice rounds as well. But now that he's got a 4-shot lead standing in the 11th hole on Sunday, he's going to erase the playbook, and he's going to do something completely different than what he's done the first 3 days, which I'm totally against. And I really do think that explains why he overpushed it, because he's playing not to hit it out of play instead of just trusting his go-to draw. And then it leads to the second shot where, I mean, you have a million miles right. He could hit this thing on the 12th hole and have a pretty easy 60-yard pitch. You know, the math would say he probably makes bogey from over there. But, I mean, he from 60 yards, even if he hit it way right, he should be able to get this thing within 10 to 12 feet, give himself a decent look at par, and if not, make bogey. This hole's probably playing at, I haven't looked it up, it's got to be playing somewhere between a 4.25 and a 4.4. Like, if you make bogey in this hole, you're only losing like 0.6 shots. It could have been even playing harder than that this last day. And just even bringing this water into play at all was very reckless. I mean, he was inches away from complete disaster. And yeah, you could say, you know, tough bounce off the mogul, but I mean, listen, those things weren't placed there overnight. Like, those are there for a reason, and he should not have even brought that bounce into play. And so, listen, he ends up making bogey. It's fine. He didn't lose too many shots on this hole. But my point is the tee shot. Like, I'm willing to plant my flag that he is not even over here behind the trees if he just decides to do the same thing he's been doing the first 3 rounds, which is aiming up the right side of the fairway and hitting a draw. And then, you know, now he decides to hit the cut. And, you know, the way, another analogy I could say about this is, like, imagine watching, let's say you're like a Ravens fan, you're watching the playoffs, and Derrick Henry is just crushing the defense. I mean, it's like 6-7 yards rushing per attempt. And the Ravens are up by 10 or 14. And you're just thinking, okay, look, we've got this game. All we have to do is just keep feeding Derrick Henry, and we've won the game. There's nothing more to do. And then the next possession, Henry's not even on the field. They've got Justice Hill out there in the backfield, and they run Justice Hill a couple times. He doesn't get much yardage. Lamar has an incomplete pass, and it's a 3-and-out. Like, if you watch that as an NFL fan or a Ravens fan, you'd probably be thinking, what the hell is going on? Like, why did we just completely change what's been working the whole time? And that's exactly how I'm viewing Rory deciding to hit a cut on this hole, which maybe you saw this, you're like, oh, maybe he just pushed this. But, like, from my mind, from a playing perspective, I have no idea why this guy decided to go away from the draw that's worked the entire tournament on this hole to then hit a cut and then to then almost bring the water into play. And so these little tiny decisions here can quite literally be the difference between winning and losing this championship or other majors, other tournaments, just because he's so generationally gifted, he's so good, he's put the work in that he's like in the mix all the time, and a little shot here based on a decision is going to be the difference of winning the tournament or not. And so I just think Rory just made it as hard as he possibly could on himself, and it didn't have to be that way. He definitely could have won this tournament without that stress. I think maybe from a viewing perspective, it was good because we could learn some lessons here, and also it was probably the most entertaining Masters I've ever watched. And so, yeah, it was good entertainment either way.